What's up, guys? Today we're going to do a case study. This is actually going to be about an estate planning attorney, a client that I work with, and we're going to be breaking down the funnel that we do for her and basically what her marketing strategy looks like as an estate planning attorney. And I've also ran this for several other attorneys, and it works really well, especially if you have like a specific niche that you do and a specific type of client that you handle, right? So let's go ahead here and let's get started. Yeah. So this is going to be about how an estate planning attorney went from bad leads, like most of us, right, to high intent paid consultations. So not even high intent leads, actual paid consultations on her calendar. So we're going to break down the actual estate planning campaign, including the strategy, the funnel, the numbers, and basically what made these prospects different from traditional leads. So before we even get into it, I just want to show you the numbers. I'm going to get you interested, so I hope that you can watch the whole thing and see exactly how we did it. So this is over the course of around 14 or 15 webinars. We do them once a week. We have taken a couple of breaks due to like vacations and things along those lines, but it's been running for the majority of this year, weekly with a couple of breaks and whatnot there. So not a ton of webinars, less than 20. But yeah, so here are the numbers so far. So first thing I'd like to focus on down here is the ad spend. So we've spent around $9,000 in ad spend, which, comparatively, it's not that much. And out of that, we have, I should have put the registrations here. We've gotten a ton of registrations across the board, but we've converted 33 of those registrations to design calls booked. And when you hear design call, right, that's an appointment, that's a consultation, but it's a paid consultation. So we're charging $300 for this. So out of all the registrations that we've generated from these webinars, 33 have booked a paid consultation. Now, around half of those have converted to an actual paid estate planning package. So you can see the numbers here, right? $10,000 from design call revenue, super neat. So basically this has liquidated the ad spend. And this is my favorite part about this specific campaign is that this liquidating the ad spend takes away so much pressure when you're going through the consultation. So you don't have to feel like, I just need to sell something so I can make some money back and break even on this marketing. We're liquidating the ad spend before you even talk to them, right? So more times than not, we run the webinars on like a weekday. Maybe it's like a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. We'll run the ad campaigns 4 or 5 days before the webinar. Right there, before that day is over, the day we do the webinar, we've made back the ad spend of what we spent on it to market it for that week, right? So it's super cool, really nice model. But yeah, so $77,000 about in EP revenue, bringing our total revenue to $87,500 with just shy of a 10 times return on ad spend. So super, super cool. Let's talk about how we did it. So first of all, the original problem that this attorney had and what other attorneys have is it's just low intent leads, right? So I know most shops, we don't need more numbers and more phone numbers. We need higher intent people. So what we saw here is pretty much what most of you guys see, and it's very common, but it's just low intent leads. Prospects are shopping around with multiple firms. People are expecting free advice. Really hard to get people to respond with your follow-ups and everything. So it's not poor follow-ups on your end. It's just poor, response rates on like these type of leads that we kind of see out there. Even if we do convert those to a free consultation, there's no education there. They don't really know what you do or what I do, right? And then from there as well, it's just too much time that the attorney has to spend qualifying the leads versus actually helping them solve a problem, right? So before we jump into how we solve that problem, just a little bit about us. My name is Branden. I am the owner of Senior Sphere Marketing. This is a video that we're doing here about estate planning attorneys. So we primarily work with folks in the financial services space. And basically what that looks like is anyone who your client is someone who's in or near retirement. So that might mean that you're like a Medicare agent, or it might mean that you're an estate planning attorney, just like one of the clients here that we're doing the case study on. Perhaps you're a retirement advisor, a retirement planner, a financial advisor, or you might even be a life insurance agent that sells annuities or something along those lines, right? So if your client is the type of person, your ideal client is in or near retirement, they're aging into retirement, that's exactly who we help. We help business owners who serve that type of client. So you can check out our website over here. Let me just pull it up here so I could take a look here and I could show you. You can learn about a lot of what we do here. I definitely would recommend coming over here to the results section. We have case studies here. You can see our testimonials and everything. We're going to have a blog that we post our blog articles on, our YouTube videos, and then we have like some free trainings and stuff like that. So definitely check it out and everything along those lines. All right. So let's get into actually what we did for this estate planning client and how we kind of helped her funnel out. So basically, it all starts with, why traditional legal leads struggle. And what I would say is when we think lead, we immediately think like, oh, this person wants to work with us, or this person is like ready to give us money and things. And the reality of it is the word lead and what we've grown accustomed to a lead being simply does just not equate to a qualified prospect. So, people sell leads and, we do opt-ins and everything for like, lead magnets and stuff like that. We don't, but I know a lot of marketers do. That's what I would call lead, right? Someone was mildly interested. They raised their hand. They gave you your email address or whatever. And that's just not, it doesn't equate to a qualified prospect who actually needs your help, right? So this is the typical client journey that we see. And what we want to do is walk through what that looks like, what a lot of people go through, and then what we do differently, right? So the typical client journey that we see with people is, they see an ad maybe, and that ad is on Facebook or something along those lines, or maybe on Google, and they become curious. And then from there, they're able to submit basic information. Maybe we get an email or a phone number out of that, and then we send them whatever they opted in for. So maybe it wasn't anything, or it was like a lead magnet or something along those lines. And we kind of just left it at that, right? So from there, the firm repeatedly follows up, whether that's the attorney, if you're doing way too much than you should be, or you have someone on the admin team following up. And then we're trying to, get them to take that next step, which is typically a free consultation. And at this point, if you're able to convert those people after repeatedly following up and you get them on a free consultation, they're maybe qualified. We don't know if they're actually qualified or if they're just shopping around, if they're just kicking tires, if they are just agreeing to the appointment because we followed up with them so many times and they want us to stop. So we're not entirely sure if this person is 100% qualified to even be having this conversation with us. So the real bottleneck that we see is schedule an estate planning consultation. That's a big commitment for someone who, one, doesn't understand the risks of why they should have to do this and what happens if they don't do it. Two, they're not familiar yet with you, the attorney, so they're not sure who you even are. They don't know what an estate plan might cost or kind of what it entails. They don't feel any urgency right now to actually go ahead and do that, and they don't even understand the process of what it looks like to be getting that done, right? So traffic isn't usually the problem with these types of things because we can generate traffic in numerous ways through paid ads or organic content or an email list or reactivating an old list that you might have. So traffic typically is not the issue here. It's usually the conversion and the journey that we're having the client go on, right? So the solution that we were able to implement is we stopped selling the consultation first. And basically we start the same way, right? We generate interest and we drive traffic, and that could look like ads. Most clients, we use paid ads, right? But you could also use an email list that you already have or social media if you have a following on there. And then from there, we want to invite them to watch an educational presentation. So they're going to watch an educational presentation, and that can look like a couple of different things, right? That can look like an on-demand webinar. That can look like a live webinar, and that can even be a local seminar, right? But the whole thing is that we are presenting something in an educational format of what the problem that they're having. We're going to talk to them about that and educate them on it, and we can let them know that we can help with it, right? From there, in this specific case, right, and this might look different depending on your industry, but for estate planning attorneys, we really like to do paid consultations. And the primary reason I like to do this is I've never seen calendars as busy as you guys. If you're an attorney watching this right now, kudos to you. You guys have absolutely insane calendars. So I like to do paid consultations because I think that if I were in your shoes, I would rather have 2 or 3 really high quality appointments for the week that I know I have a great chance at closing versus like 12 or 13 so-so appointments that I'm going to have to shift through like the tire kickers and everything like that. So paid consultations work really good on this because it really does a great job of just immediately getting rid of all the low intent people, right? No one's going to fork over $300 to you if they think that this isn't something that they're actually going to go through with, right? And then for when we do have that consultation with them, we're going to go ahead and start educating them on what the process looks like and what it might look like for them. And we're going to help them out with an estate plan, right? So from there, education becomes the front end offer. And basically what that looks like is We're going to teach them how we can avoid common estate planning mistakes, how to keep the family out of probate, how to protect assets and make wishes clear, what families misunderstand about wills and trusts, and what a basic will or when a basic will may not be enough. So something I've seen that works really good for people who are selling this type of product is if you have some type of niche that you do and you don't just say like, hey, I do, estate planning, we do like a will and a trust and keep you out of probate. If you have something that you can pull on, right, and that might look like just a very specific type of offer. I don't want to like say it out here in public just because like we work on these things independently when we work with our clients. But it's something specific that you do that sets yourself apart from just generic estate planning, right? And it's basically really narrowing down your avatar. When we're able to call that person out in our ad campaigns, these campaigns do so much better than just like generic estate planning, right? So why educational marketing works. And basically the presentation is going to do the heavy lifting for you. So before even speaking with the firm, your prospects are going to be able to learn, why estate planning matters, what could happen if they wait and they actually don't do it, the difference between different planning options, your philosophy, your expertise, and essentially what the next step would be involved. So they get a ton of education in the process by watching this educational event, whether that's in person, digital, or online, and versus just filling out a form type thing, right? So that's what makes a big difference. So by the time someone reaches the consultation with you, the conversation is no longer about whether estate planning matters or is needed. It really kind of shifts to what kind of plan they need and what it looks like for them, right? So here's the campaign structure that we like to do for folks that we work with. So we typically start with meta advertisements, and we're going to create like a hyper targeted creative that calls out your exact avatar about what I was just talking about, right? From there, we'll send them to a registration page where they can sign up and register to watch your webinar that you do live once a week, or an on-demand webinar, or whatever that might look like, right? So after that, they're going to sign up and they're going to watch the educational webinar when we do that. And we use, text messages and emails to confirm that they're going to be there, as well as reminding them and everything along those lines too. From there, the call to action out of this is a paid design consultation, right? So the only thing that we're asking folks to do when the webinar is over is, hit the link, pay for the call, and then, book a time that works for you. That's it. We're not telling them, go hit the website, go do this, go do that. If you want to take the next step further, hit the link, and then you'll be able to pay, and then you can book a time that works for you. And then for there, you go through your standard sales process, right? And then you can go ahead and get them closed up and whatnot. So why is the consultation paid? And paying for the consultation just immediately increases in time. It's as simple as that. So you create a real commitment. You're able to filter out casual information seekers. You're able to get compensated for your time versus just taking a free consultation. And it's changing the perceived value of the appointment, right? So it's not just becoming like this informational grab that they're on the phone for like 15 minutes or something along those lines. They're actually trying to get something out of this appointment, which we'll talk about in a second. And then my favorite thing about this is your close rate's more or less going to be 100%. Worst case scenario is you're going to have to actually, maybe reschedule it, but no one's forking over a couple $100 for an appointment and then just not showing up, right? So your close rates are going to go from wherever they are right now. Industry standard is usually around like 40 to 55% to pretty much 100%. Again, worst case, you reschedule it, but you're going to be talking to these people who book, right? And a really cool thing too is, by paying for the consultation and generating money from it, we're able to produce revenue right away instead of waiting for the sales cycle to catch up, right? So the paid consult isn't simply a qualification trick. It's really for us to deliver actual value to the prospect when we do hop on with them for that first time, right? So it's a working meeting. So you're giving them something out of that, and you have to decide what that looks like on your end. What are you willing to part with for a couple of $100s? Usually that looks like a couple of documents or a good executed plan or something along those lines, but it's not a 15-minute consultation. Maybe it's going to be like an hour or an hour and a half legitimate working meeting that they're going to get something out of that bridges that logical next step to going with the full package, right? So what the prospect experiences at this point is they go from stranger to educated prospect. So at this point, they've recognized a relevant estate planning concern. They register for your educational presentation. They spend time learning from you and understanding the risks of doing nothing. I really like video formats because it just immediately builds authority and it builds trust when someone sits down to learn from you and watch a video and educate on something that they want to learn about, right? And then from there, we're going from stranger to someone who's super high intent. They're paying, they're taking out their credit card, they're taking out their wallet, and they're giving you money to say, hey, I want to talk to you. Let's take the next step here together. All right. So that just immediately goes from like whoever here to high intent only, right? And then from there, you're able to give them an actual appropriate, customized, unique estate plan recommendation. So here are some campaign numbers, just bringing it back to this real-time case study now that we've talked about how it works. So we looked at these kind of already, but basically advertising spend $9,000, 33 paid consultations. We've generated $10,000 in design call revenue. So what that means is we have actually made back the advertising spend each week before our attorney over here actually had these conversations with people. 15 of these estate plans were sold, generating about $77,000 in revenue. So that brings our total revenue just shy of $100,000. So I can't wait for that to cross there. Maybe another webinar or two and we'll get there, right? So you can see the conversion rate as well on the calls of the design calls to actually converting to an estate plan too is super high. And in my opinion, this speaks a lot about how high intent and how serious these people are when they do take out their card and they want to have that paid consultation with you, right? They know that this is for them. You've already built the trust by doing this educational format. They're ready to take the next step. And I would reckon too, that other 50% is not a hard no. Maybe too, it's just, not right now, right? So basically, this funnel produced revenue before the final sale. Advertising cost per paid consultation was approximately $273. However, the average estate plan revenue deal closed on this campaign was around $5,000. So revenue per paid consultation booked was around $2,600 with an overall return on ad spend of just under 10 times, which is awesome, right? So in my opinion, why this system worked and exactly why we build stuff out like this for folks is the advertising focused on a painful consumer problem. So we called out exactly the issue that we knew that my client's ideal client was having. And we told them, hey, we understand what you're going through. Come into our webinar, come into our free educational, seminar, webinar, whatever it might be. We're going to tell you how you can avoid what you're worrying about. And we'll give you some options where if you want us to take care of it for you, we can, right? It's no problem. So the educational presentations able to build trust at scale. Huge. And then the paid consultation filters for commitment, which is really great. We're just completely getting out of those low intent people. You don't need to call them and qualify leads. You don't need to hire an appointment setter. You just take the couple of paid consultations that you get out of this each week, and then you go from there. If you want to scale it up too, we just scale it up, right? So this is really cool because when we use paid ads, if we want to have more appointments, we can just reverse engineer from there of how much we need to spend. So what the firm is getting out of this is they're getting educated prospects who are ready to work with you, not just raw leads. So compared to apples to apples, you have someone who opted in with just their email address for like a lead magnet or a free checklist or a guide or something like that versus someone who has gone through this entire process of registering, showing up for the educational webinar, actually learning who you are and how you can help them, deciding to take out their card and book an appointment with you and pay for that. And then they're going to have that meeting with you. So just night and day difference of the quality and the intent behind these things. So in my opinion, what you guys can learn from this, if you're an attorney watching this, don't optimize for the cheapest lead. If you're going to try paid advertising, please don't optimize for the cheapest lead. It's definitely not going to be what you're looking for in the back end and driving your business, right? Optimize for cost per attendee, cost per paid consultation show rate, estate plan sold, your customer acquisition costs, and revenue and ROAS. So it's oftentimes that when you optimize for the cheapest lead, it's going to be very rare that that's going to be the most efficient way to acquire clients. So if you take anything from this, just come back a couple of slides here and look how expensive this cost per paid consultation is. And just look how much it was able to generate, right? So do things the right way and don't focus on getting cheap leads because cheap leads are at the end of the day usually unqualified and they're not ready to buy, right? So if you'd like to learn more, I have a free training that you can go over here on the website. So if you click on free training right here, you can go over to the website, and this is going to teach you more in depth exactly how we kind of built something out like this, and pretty much teaches you how to get 10, 20, 40 plus even qualified sales appointments every single month. So definitely, feel free to go here, just email, name, and then we'll send you the video over, and you're going to learn a lot more in depth about what we just talked about and how you can implement it into your business yourself. So yeah, very nice seeing you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one, and then good luck with your marketing.